Right, this will make you think. Purchased this brand new last week from the Ford dealer. This is for the gearbox oil. This is quite interesting. Let me turn the container around. Now, what does it say on the very bottom? Expiry the 2nd, 2025. Now, that tells me after 2025, the oil has gone past its sell-by date. So what I'm trying to say is, when you buy oil from a dealer or even eBay, look at the date of the oil. Now, how can a gearbox in a car be sealed for life if you've got an expiry date of 2025 for the oil? So after that date, it's no good. Obviously, settlement occurs in the oil. So in my philosophy, there's no such thing as gearbox oil sealed for life. We're going to change the gearbox oil because the engine oil's changed every 5,000 to 7,000 miles. 30,000 gearbox, we're going to change it. But basically, the gearbox filler plug is underneath the airbox on the side of the engine. Pull back out of the shot. Right, basically, what we've got to do, take the airbox out to get to it. Airbox out. First thing to do to get to the gearbox filler plug, the airbox has got to come out. Previous video, I've shown how to do the airbox. 7mm. Take the 7mm out. That gives a lot more room to the filler plug, which you can see the filler plug just there. Now, before you take any filler plugs off or drain plugs, go and buy a genuine plug right from Ford. So what you want to do is compare the plug with what's in there, then you know it's the right size. But also you want to put a Allen key head in there to make sure you've got a tight fit before you undo it. So that bit is that bit there, fit, it fits in there, so you know when you undo that one you're not going to strip it, so it's a nice tight fit. So that can go up there. This bit is anti-clockwise. Now, by taking the airbox out, can you see we've got access to it? Make sure it's nicely seated, and you want to uncrack it, that's going to be tough. Right, that is right, because it's a genuine Ford one, it's never been undone. Make sure you got it square on. Oh God, hear that crack? That was tight. Now that is only 32 Newton meters actually done to. That seems a bit over tight. So now that I've cracked it, right, so what we've got, we're going to undo it. Should be a little bit of oil coming out, means it's full. It's bone dry, that is. Right, so that is the gearbox fill plug. This is the old plug. Keep that on top there. Now, what you're thinking is, how are we going to take that out of there? Good idea. One jug, most important thing, and we're going to use a suction device. So what we're going to do is, what comes out goes back in. So for example, if you've got 1 litre, 1 litre goes back in. But the rule of thumb is the car's got to be dead level, on a level surface, and you should have a little dribble coming out of the fill plug. That's the correct level. So the first thing we're going to do, got a lovely suction device. Stick this into here. Get it as far as you can down. And suck out any oil. This will be interesting to see what colour it is. Red means it's good, black means it's crap. So just put a little bit of pressure on the suction device. Oil is like hydraulic fluid. It takes a lot to come out. Actually, that is black. This is the old gearbox oil. As I say, 30,000 miles. A lot of people don't bother changing. What we're going to do is just basically look. On there we've got, I don't know, 800 millilitres, just over half a litre. Let's put it on a dead level surface. But what you've got to do is fill a gearbox oil up so it's just dribbling out the fill plug. Now, what we've taken out, we've measured. Gone and bought some Ford gear oil. This is 75 gear oil, so usually 75/90. These are 1 litre tubs. We've actually taken out 800 millilitres. Now, remember this, the car was driven for about 10 miles. The gearbox oil's warm. You've got to do it with a warm gearbox oil. Don't do it cold. Now, when you fill it up, the rule of thumb is it's got to be 5 millimeters below the drain plug. So what the best thing to do is fill it to the drain plug so it starts to dribble out, and take a little bit out with the pump so it's probably 5 millimeters below the fill plug. Then you torque it up, and I'll give you the torque setting in a minute. But basically, gear oil, you can either buy Ford's 75, this is 90 gear oil, or just go to a local shop and buy good quality gear oil. So we're going to use 1 tub, not 2. Always buy 2, by the way, in case you make a mistake. You're going to have to go to a shop again. You've got 2 in stock. So we're going to fill it up with the vacuum system. Now we know 800 came out. We're going to put the new stuff in here. We're going to get 800 in there. So 5, 6. Right there. Now notice the colour of the new gear oil and what it was like before. Only a little bit of oil. It's worth doing this every year. Manufacturers, by the way, it says in the service schedule, they don't do the gearbox oil. I mean, gearbox oil is one of the most important oils, same as engine oil. So it's worth doing it. So what we're going to do is suck that in with the tube and push it into the gearbox. Right, what we're going to do is suck it into here and just get the container. I'll put the container there because it's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to suck it in. Start again. Fill the tube up. Oil takes a lot of pressure, by the way, so take your time pulling it into the look at the colour of that, beautiful colour. Take your time, just got to suck it up. A lot of pressure with oil, a bit like hydraulic fluid. So this is Ford 75W gear oil. Probably best to use Ford because at least you know the tolerances. But look at that oil, isn't it clean compared with what came out. Still filling up the container. That's what we don't want. We don't want to get air in there. Try and get as much as I can in the plunger to start with. Right, we're going to do that for a minute. We have the container. Right, let's get rid of this container a minute because that's still got to go in there. Find the hole. Push it well in. That's in the bottom. And slowly push the new oil in. Probably take about 5 or 10 minutes. Obviously make sure it's not coming out of the fuel plug. The tube is well and truly in the gearbox. This is so easy to do. I don't understand why dealerships, when you take your car to be serviced, why they just don't do it. How many times you know people, they say the gearbox is gone or the front diff's gone because they've never changed the damn oil in it. Maintenances, I mean look at that oil on there. It's as clean as anything. I mean look, easy to do. Rule of thumb, do it yourself. Don't rely on other people to do it. Well, that's the first lot in there. Get the tube. Same process again. This bit's got to go in there, so I'm going to tilt that jar this time. That's got to go in there. Make sure the plunger is at the bottom. And slowly, again, pull it up. Take your time. Take 10 minutes. Oil is a lot to compress. Now don't forget, when we fill it, it's got to be up to the fill mark, so it's just coming out. Then you want to take a little bit out, so it's like 5mm below the fill. But this is the gearbox on a Ford Focus, but any gearbox is basically the same. A lot of pressure on this oil, I tell you. Look how clean it is though. It's immaculate. Gearbox should be nice and smooth after this. Car's done 31,000 miles, so it definitely needed to be done. But how easy it is to do. Let's have a breather a minute. Pull it again. Nice pump this is. Good quality. Pump was only about 30 quid to buy. Getting to the bottom now, I think. Really? Still pump, still pulling. Alright, that's only taken what, 3-5 minutes to do? Alright, pull the tube out. Again, that's the fluid. I mean, look at the colour of that. Golden brown. Better than having black. Straight in there. Make sure you get the tube in the bottom, which it is, and slowly push it back in there. Maintenance easy to do. As I said, you can understand why garages don't want to do this for you. you've got a Ford or any car, change the gearbox oil once a year. Automatics especially, but even manual. That colour of that oil, clear. If you see it start coming out of the fill, obviously stop. You want it 5mm below the fill, you'll probably see that anyway. What I'm going to do is run the car for a month, then take the oil out again, so it's we swilled the whole system out. Right, there you go. Right, so we just have a look how far that is down there. Actually, it's near the top. That is near the very top. We just get the thing, because I think that's was 1 litre. That is, it's probably done it. Let me get the cloth a minute. If you've got any oil, by the way, on rubber pipes, give it a good old wash. Right, with any filler plug you've got, have a good look at them. To be honest, there's nothing wrong with the old one. Obviously check with the new one for size. What I'm going to do is, with a fill plug, I always put thread lock on. Most of the time I actually use PTFE tape. So what you want to do, make sure this is nice and clean. Good stuff to use this is. What I always like to use is PTFE tape. Get it on there because it's very, very slippy stuff. Get it as tight as you can. Pull it off. Right, there it is on there. Now these fill plugs, they are 35 Newton meters. So you've got the same hexagonal nut. Obviously when you do a thread up, do it up by hand first. Thread it in as far as you can by hand. Right, so that's virtually in. I'm just going to get the torque wrench, 35 Newton meters. Obviously when you use a torque wrench, use a small one, don't use a massive one. 35 Newton meters is the fill plug. Dial it around to 35. Obviously make sure you use a good quality torque wrench. 35 it's locked. I'm going to get all the torque wrenches we use, good quality. We get them calibrated once a year in December by Snap-on. Snap-on come here and they double check it for us. They run it through their diagnostic thing. 35 Newton meters. So let's get it in there first. We've done it up by hand to start with. That's a nice tight fit. Let's do it up by hand with the torque until it stops. Right, there you go. Hold the end of the torque wrench. Click. Now you only do it 1 click, you don't do 2 or 3 clicks. That's done up to 35 Newton meters. Now while you've got the airbox out, give everything a good clean. Remember the battery's there, you don't want to get that soaking wet, but all the debris, all the rubbish, won't do it any harm. I'll show you in a minute what we've got. See this down here? It's on top of the gearbox, got a switch. What are you using? I'm using acid-filled wheel cleaner just to get rid of all the debris. Paintbrush is very good. Now obviously if you've got it on any oil on any of the pipes, you need to give that a good old swirl. Now what I use, don't use a hose pipe, but use a spray container with water. This has got a bit of fairy liquid in there as well. Remember the fuse boxes there, you don't want to get that soaking wet. But just give it a good old clean. When the air box is there, you can't really get to it. Make sure you've got no oil on the pipes. Make sure you've got no sediments left. The air straps are okay because they go straight into the body. They haven't really been undone. There's no rust on there. Right, the airbox can go back in there. Right, airbox. Remember, 1, 2, 3 grommets have got to go into certain holes. 1, 2, 3 here. So what you want to do is line it up first. Double check everything before you put everything back. The fill plug's tightened up, 35 Newton meters. Make sure that's just seated over the top. That's over the top. This rubber flap you've got to pull out. And click, click, click. Now here, you've got the bonnet release cable. Make sure you're not pinching that. This is seated. That's going to go over the top. Right, the airbox is in. Now this is important. Now when you've got the airbox seated with the 3 lugs, air filter, on the back of it you've got a tab. That tab has got to go down in the end. So there's a tab on the bottom. It's got to go in the end on the bottom, not sideways. That's got to go in the bottom there. And obviously make sure the airbox is seated. Air filter's clean, it's just been replaced about 2 months ago. So that's in. Cover, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got those 4 screws which have got to go in. Now before I do those up, I always put the pipe on. Now what you want to do before you put a pipe on is check you've got no cracks in it. It's only plastic. Some marks there which are appeared, but it's not broken. So this has got to go on first. This one is difficult to get, that's easy to get onto. So make sure you don't pinch anything. You're going to pull that over, the front one first. Hear it click, she's on, she's on. Now just run your hand around the side to make sure it is sealed, which it is. There's a little triangle on there, and there's one there. Just got to make sure that and that's lined up. That one though isn't. So get your Jubilee clip. Just give that a nice little tight. Now Jubilee clips, you just got to nip them. You don't do them locked tight. She's done. This one here, make sure it's seated. Again, just tighten it up, not too tight. Just want to grip it. Easy thing this is to do at home. Right, that's done, that's done. Next thing to do, the most important thing, is get the airflow meter wire. There's a plug on there which has got to be pushed in. Come around the other side. That's got to be pushed into that lug. That was difficult to get out. I used a pair of grips to get that out. This here, the cap's got to be up. Down is locked, that's up. Make sure the pins aren't bent. Gently push it in, click. done. Those 4 have got to be done up now. The hardest one to do is the back one, which again use a socket. This is the hardest one to get. There it is, it's in. Do that by hand to start with. Right, now get the socket on it. Take it off, undo. Now while you're doing this up, obviously make sure the airbox is seated, which it is. I'm going to do this one up first because this is the worst one to do of the lot. It was easy to do. Again, you just want to nip it. It's only a thread going into a plastic thread. See, it's going into another plastic thread. Tight, just nip it. I'd say this is probably about 1 or 2 Newton meters of torque, which is nothing. You just get it in. Only nip it. 2 or 3 Newton meters. The last one, there's 4 of these, don't forget. This is the front one. This is the airbox being put back in there. That's the gearbox oil done on the car. There you go. You can feel it when it's just been nipped up. She's done. Right, let me just take the tools away. One last thing to do. And then again, we've used 1 container. There was another one spare. Now, with everything you've done with an engine, when you're taking bits off the engine, double check everything. So that's been tightened up, those 4 are done. Airflow meter, view with the clips are tightened up. Airflow meter sensors on. That's locked in position. No tools around. Job done.